Welcome back to Muslim Apologetics Australia. In this video, we're going to clearly debunk and refute the allegation made against the Quran that there is an apparent contradiction. As you know, in Islamic theology, we believe that Ibliss is not an angel, but he's Satan, and he's made from the Jinn kind. And of course, the Christian critics bring a particular verse from the noble Quran to prove, hey, no, he's not just a jinn, he's also an angel. And they try and then say there's a contradiction in the Quran and the Hadith. And then they try and say that the Bible is more accurate because the Quran agrees that, yes, Ibliss is actually an angel. And the Quran is mixing these things up. And they use a particular verse in the Quran in Surah 7, verses 11 through to 12. And their whole argument is based upon this particular verse, which says, "We created you, then we shaped you, then we said to the angels, bow down before Adam, so they bowed down except for Satan. He was not of those who bowed down." So notice here, they are saying that Ibliss is actually an angel because Allah commanded the angels to bow, and Ibliss did not bow, but the angels did bow. So all the angels bowed except Ibliss. So they're trying to say, since the command was directed at the angels, Ibliss didn't bow, so Allah condemned him. Therefore, Ibliss is an angel. However, this is an incorrect interpretation. You see, when we critique the Quran, or if we have to critique Islam, you need to bring a lot of verses. You can't just make one conclusion based upon one verse. That would be like me trying to make a theological contradiction on the Bible by quoting one verse. No Christian would like that. So I could say in John 10:35, all Jews are called gods. Should now Christian worship all Jews as gods? No, you'd say no, but other verses prove they're not gods. So therefore, it would be inaccurate for me to make a claim on the Bible by using one verse and concluding that all Jews are gods. So why are then Christian critics taking one verse yet ignoring all the other verses where there's a complete distinction, where Satan is called a jinn? Iblis is never called an angel in the Quran or the Hadith. He's never been explicitly called angel anywhere. He's referred to as jinn in the Hadith. He's referred to jinn in the Quran. He's referred to being made from fire. He's referred to not having the free will to disobey, while angels don't have the free will to disobey. So there's a complete distinction between the two. So you need to accept all of the context to draw a conclusion. You can't just specifically point at one verse and then draw a conclusion. In fact, if Christians want to play that game, we can play it with the Bible. You know, for example, Christians say that Lucifer is a fallen angel, right? They say he's a fallen angel. Well, we could say that's just a metaphorical term, because all good people are usually called angelic. You know, for example, you may say that, you know, hey, look at that very kind woman. She's like an angel. All we see is good from her. Now, would we conclude that she's an angel? No. So usually we use the term angelic or angel with people who do righteous works. So therefore, when Satan was called a fallen angel, that could mean that he metaphorically was a fallen angel, meaning that he did all good all his life, and then he did one thing that was bad, and he became a fallen angel. This doesn't mean that he was an angel. So we can actually play the same game with the Christian text. So it's not good to use one verse to make a logical conclusion. You know, I've actually heard many responses, and one response is from Dr. Zakir Naik, who actually addresses this point, and he makes some valid points. But in this video, I'm going to show you another point that is equally strong. For example, Dr. Zakir Naik says, the English translation of the first part of the verse, we said to the angels, bow down to Adam, They bowed down except Ibliss gives us the impression that Ibliss was an angel. The Quran was revealed in Arabic. In the Arabic grammar, there is a rule known as taqlib, according to which if the majority is addressed, even if the minority is actually included. If, for example, I address a class containing 100 students, of whom 99 are boys and 1 is a girl, and if I say in Arabic that the boys should stand up, it includes the girls as well. I need not to mention her separately. Similarly, in the Quran, when Allah addresses the angels, even Ibliss was present, but it is not required that he be mentioned separately. Therefore, according to that sentence, Ibliss may be an angel or maybe not an angel. But we come to know from Surah Al-Kahf, chapter 18, verse 50, that Ibliss was a jinn. Nowhere does the Quran say Ibliss was an angel. Therefore, there is no contradiction in the Quran. Yes, I do agree with Dr. Zakir Naik's argument that when a majority is addressed, the minority does not have to be addressed. And we know that Ibliss was a minority among the jinn, because he was a unique jinn. He wasn't like all the other jinns. Ibliss is unique from all the other jinns. He's the leader. So in that presence, he is a minority. And of course, the Quran doesn't say that there were other jinns present there. So obviously we're going to take it that he was a minority. That was part of the text. So it fits the Islamic Arabic grammar perfectly. However, I want to give you my understanding of the text, and I think that this is equally a strong rebuttal, and you should use this against the critics, and you will see how this would silence them. For example, the command may have been technically only to the angels. But we have explained that in Arabic language, when a majority is commanded, that includes all, and Dr. Zakir Naik actually shows this. However, I can give you a further explanation, which I personally believe, that the instruction was only to the angels and not Ibliss. Let's agree to this, okay? That the instruction was only to the angels and not Ibliss. I'm guessing that Allah wanted to see if Ibliss, even though the instruction was not for him, to see if he bows anyway, which he didn't, for why Allah questioned him. I guess Allah wanted to see if Satan was willing to prostrate out of respect, even if he wasn't commanded to do so. I guess Allah was seeing what was actually in his heart. Think of it. How when Muslim women are commanded to wear a hijab when entering a mosque. Say non-Muslims come to visit for a day for a tour of the mosque, and out of respect, even though they're not commanded to take off their shoes or wear the hijab, they do it anyhow to show respect. So I'm guessing that's what Allah wanted to see from Ibliss. Just like Imams would want non-Muslims to come into our mosque and respect our rules and regulations, even though it's not commanded upon them. We want us to see if they respect our rules and regulations of the mosque. So basically, Allah wanted to see whether Ibliss would respect the rules of bowing to Adam out of respect. And when he saw that Satan didn't bow, then Allah questioned him for that. You know, suppose you invited about 4 or 5 families to your house, and, you know, they all came inside, and you commanded all of them to take off their shoes, and they all walked inside. But then someone came later on, and they walked into the house. And when this person walked into the house, he wasn't commanded to take off his shoes, because he was by himself. But when he walked into the house, he noticed everyone else had their shoes off. Now, out of respect, he would say to himself, well, look, everyone else has taken their shoes off, so hey, maybe I better take off my shoes as well. And out of respect, he takes off his shoes. Some people might continue to wear their shoes and probably just disrespect the audience, disrespect that household. So this is the example that Allah portrayed against Ibliss. Yes, he did command only the angels to bow, But he wanted to see whether, out of respect, Ibliss, even though he wasn't commanded, out of respect, whether he would actually pray and prostrate as well. And he didn't do that. So I'm guessing that is why, Satan was condemned, obviously. So when a Christian critic tries to say that, oh, no, he was also an angel, no, not necessarily. He's obviously separate. He could be a jinn. And it is wrong for Christian critics to actually conflate the two, simply because the command was upon the angels to bow, and therefore they thought that, the Ibliss was also an angel as well. No, not necessarily. In other words, just because Allah commanded only the angels, this doesn't mean because Ibliss refused, he was a disobedient angel. He could be a different being, yet questioned for his refusal, for denying the premise of respect even if he wasn't specifically commanded to prostrate.